The paper's been signed. You raise your right hand for the last time. Family and friends and schoolmates and teachers are congratulating you for making a decision to enlist in the United States military, whether it be Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, or Coast Guard. You've gone into service with the expectations of doing great things, no doubt, collecting some serious business benefits like medical, dental, retirement at an early age. The mindset really is just what's in front of you, which is basic training. You're bracing yourself for the drill sergeants who are being mean and yelling and cussing, the hard work, the late nights, the long hours, making them new friends, 12 hours, 12-hour days. And I believe, I'm not sure how long basic is nowadays, probably about 8 to 12, probably 12 to 14 weeks. And then you're But what comes next? That's the question. What is the military really like? What can you expect? No one really knows. All they know is basic training. You're going to get the job you put in for, do your time, and that's it. But what you're not thinking about, what a person doesn't think about regarding the military, and what they don't think about in a lot of jobs, is what is it going to be like? You can get a job in the civilian sector. You've been there, high expectations, the benefits package, the interview went well, and then 6 months into the situation, to the job, you find that you feel you're looking for another one. You're trying to wonder what went wrong. That's what it's like in the military, but I would say intensified. What you don't know about military life can come back to haunt you. Hi, my name is Gary. This is Military Illumination. It's a podcast where we talk about things that matter regarding military lifestyles, but things that are not spoken about or talked about, or even wanting you to know about. We can provide information so that you can make an informed decision about the United States military opportunity. The coffee's warm. It's been poured. I'm enjoying my coffee. And I just want to have a simple conversation with you regarding things that recruiters won't tell you. If you've been following the news lately, you know now how the USS Abraham Lincoln and some other carriers in the Middle East are under some very dire situations. Very dire. It's sad in a way, but it's not unexpected when you're dealing with the military. As you're watching this unfold, with the USS Abraham Lincoln, what it does, it illuminates what it's like in the military. You can take what's happening and apply it. And really, the best way to explain it is it's the true self. There's no fancy advertisings. There's no rhetoric about coming from the media. It's in its raw, imperious form, is what you're seeing. And it's sad. It's sad. What I'm seeing, what's developing in the Middle East with our military, Navy, even the Army, we don't talk about those guys, and Marines, is what I was experiencing with the Washington National Guard, right? And what everyone's going to experience. The families of Tillman, the colonel football player who turned Ranger and was killed, and no one even really knows what really happened, right? It's a lot of hush-hush. But what I want to talk about today is military communications expectations. Military and how they work, how it works, right? Now, I'm going to walk you through some news headlines that's basically on the internet right now from different credible news sources, and we're going to talk about it. And we're going to read between the lines, and we're going to illuminate what you need to know before you enlist in the military. So, if you've been watching it, the carrier USS Abraham Lincoln has been at sea for more than 250 days. It's more now because it was 250 days without touching land, without going to a port. Okay, think about that. These men and women have been on this ship for 250 days, and they're still there. As of yesterday, it was 250. They resupply the situation that's in there. No one really knows about. We only really know about it because family members are calling their congresspeople, the congressmen, their senators, asking for help. That's how we know that there's something going on that's not quite right. There's been reports of mental health issues exploding on the carrier. Suicide attempts, completed suicides, and what else is you can almost think about. I'm going to read to you a couple of headlines, talk about a little bit, and then I'm going to give you my spin on it and my experience. And in the end, what you should come away with is this. When you enlist, you have no value. You're a pawn. You're a means to an end. It's no longer about right or wrong, democracy versus communism. It's about the dollars. It's about currency. It's about how much can I make for myself at the expense of others. And that's just how it's always been. The military has always been people who served did so valiantly, but they really have no value. And I'm sorry if you take offense to that. If you take offense to that and you don't ask a question, you don't think about it, then that's on you. Because the reality is you have no value when you're in the military. You are property of the United States government. And you know what? It says it right there in the contract. Maybe not that way, but it does say in the contract, if you listen to my other podcast about the contract, is that life in the military is different than civilian. You won't experience the same thing. Okay, I'm paraphrasing. Okay? So let's look at look at three that really touched me. 1 second. Okay. The first one is from NPR, National Public Radio. It's an article that states, the title is Senator Ruben Gallego on Handling of USS Lincoln Conditions. That's not proper leadership. And it goes on to say that Democratic Senator Ruben Gallego of Arizona is calling for greater oversight of conditions aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln, saying he has heard reports of long hours, limited food, and mounting stress among the sailors. Gallego goes on to say a Marine veteran who deployed to Iraq said in an interview with Morning Edition that he has been in contact with the spouses of an experienced sailor aboard the carrier who described deteriorating morale and difficult working conditions. The Lincoln has been at sea for more than 260, I said 54, it's on 260 now, okay, days, a record the carrier, with more than 5,000 sailors, has been supporting U.S. and Israeli operations in the war against Iran. Here it is a senator, doesn't work by the party, saying experienced sailors aboard it is saying, we've been through this, we know what it's supposed to be like, and this isn't right. And this is not right. The spouses of experienced sailors went to the senator. And that's one thing that I talked about before, is that when you and I think I mentioned it before in my other podcast, there's not much he can do. Our senators, there's not much they can do. In the words of Patty Murray's office worker, I don't know what you call them, but they're administrative aides, right? Congressional aides. One government entity cannot tell another one what to do. So it's very common in the military for spouses and family to contact the senators for help. But there is not much they can do. The most they can do is sit down and talk about and share the report. That's all they can do. That's all senators and representatives can do. They have no other power. They have no other power. Especially with the president that we have right now. Any movement in the Senate, considering that the Democrats are not in the power or whatever, it's going to get squashed. Basically, he's going to do what he wants to do anyways. So that's the first thing I want you to know about the military, is that this isn't the first time the situations can get bad. And when it gets bad, family and friends contact the senators asking for help. The senators report what you tell them, which means they tell the president, they tell the Department of Defense what is happening. But it's to the Department of Defense, Secretary of Defense, the president, and the leadership to take action. But when you have a leadership that's ineffective, it does not have the foresight to understand ins and outs of warfare, mainly because they haven't been in the military. They put our soldiers, and our Navy guys, and our Marines, and our Air Force, we put all our service members at risk and on an island. While they go home at night, sleep well in their beds, eat warm food, and say, whatever. That's what you're getting into when you're getting into the military. You're by yourself. You can blame me what you want to, but this is case study of what happens. And it's not the first time. It's gotten bad, but not this bad. Okay, hold on. Okay, now here's a report from, I'm going to put all these I'll list them in the script or whatever. You'll get a copy of it, or you can just Google it yourself. That's what I would say. Just do it yourself. Anyways, the Military Times, it says, here's the headlines. It says multiple USS Abraham Lincoln sailors have tried to go overboard amid extended deployment, families says. This is August 11, 2026. Multiple USS Abraham Lincoln sailors have tried to go overboard. That means jumping the ship into the water. And those ships they're high. They're going to die. They'd rather die than live in this situation they're in. It's mental health issues. People aren't expecting this. You put people on a ship for 260 days without touching water and working 12-hour shifts. Those planes that fly off the carrier, there's a lot that goes on behind it. Okay. So it says here, Annabelle Loma has spoken with her husband only a few times since he attempted to jump overboard from the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln during his current deployment. Oh my goodness. I'm actually reading this for the first time. Annabelle Loma has spoken with her husband only a few times since he attempted to jump overboard from the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln during his current deployment. You don't think he's going to have some serious PTSD when he gets back? You don't think he's going to do you think he's going to try it again? Do you think his family's not going to be impacted by this? Communication has been difficult to come by, and he is now on medical hold. He's still on the ship. Okay. Loma, who lives in San Diego, said her husband hasn't repeatedly overextended before he tried to jump from the carrier. He's scared, Loma said. He thinks he'll get a dishonorable discharge, and just because he was burned out, his 13-year career is ruined. Oh my goodness. Holy smokes. This is a 13-year veteran. Oh, no way. Oh my goodness. That's not fair. That's not right. That's not what he should be worrying about right now. Holy doggone it, Maloney. Oh my goodness. This is a veteran. 13 years, 7 years away from retirement. 7 years away from retirement. Got a family back home. His career is ruined. Because the military is going to let him get away scot-free. Because if they do that, everybody else is going to be doing the same thing he's doing. And there's going to be a line trying to get out on a medical. They're going to twist this around. You follow that family. I'm not going to say I know what I know, but right now, it ain't looking good for this young man. And he gets a dishonorable discharge. I thought that even before it. The E-214's going to follow him. He's not going to be able to get a job, a decent job. Especially if they talk about this military. If you got to put on there that you're in the military, the first thing a civilian is going to ask you, what was your discharge? Because they still believe that the military don't stink. They still believe that the military and our leadership are honorable. And they don't realize the cutthroat, nasty son of a bitches they are. Lord knows he might end up doing something he might not get put away out on a dishonorable based on him trying to attempt, but PTSD, that stuff can lead him to something that is going to be regretful for him and it's going to get there. Okay? That is scary. That is really sad. As I'm reading it, I'm actually got my phone on and I'm reading. I can't drink coffee right now. I have to send this to myself. Yeah. Okay. Separately, Stars and Stripes reported Tuesday that sailors described an incident in which watchstanders stopped a crew member from jumping overboard. Stripes reported that the crew was informed about the incident through a ship-wide announcement. More than 200 family members attended a meeting in San Diego last week with Acting Secretary of the Navy, Hong Xiao, during a separate virtual meeting later that evening. Families raised concerns about sailors' mental health, exhaustion, and safety. All right. This is real. This is what happens. Yeah, you're in the military, you get a paycheck on a regular basis, you get decent medical, you get early retirement, but this is the reality of it. All these people right here, all this is happening, all this is with this acting secretary, is falling on deaf ears. It ain't going nowhere. And those people and those family members who are getting involved with the senators, their spouses are going to pay the price. I told you that before. I want to mention, I'm kind of adding this too, as a side note, that Pete, the Secretary of Defense, actually fired the Secretary of the Navy in April. I think it's kind of ironic, though, that he fired someone, and the person who's in charge is the Under Secretary of the Navy, which basically means that he's a replacement until they find a replacement for the Secretary of the Navy. And you're wondering if this erratical firing is a power trip, and if it's having an impact on our Navy and our Navy readiness. The thought that came to me was leaders who fire indiscriminately weakens the military and cannot lead ethically. That's what I just believe. How can you lead ethically and make the right decisions when you're just firing at will because you don't agree with the president? It's kind of sad. I'm glad when he's gone. Take his slick back hair back to where it came from. So let's move on. Thank you very much. I told you in my podcast before, listen to the rest of them where I talk about this. Don't go to the sentence. Don't go to them because nothing's going to happen. All you're going to do is get in more trouble. Trust me. Believe me. That's the game. That's the game. I know because I lived it. I seen it when I was in. I didn't really know what I was looking at. Maybe some people in my unit was talking about the same stuff, or they said they've written to their congressperson and they said they're up on charges or they're being mistreated or retaliated against. I watched it happen. Okay, let's go to, let's say, I want to see here's the response from our supreme leader and his sidekick, Pete. Okay, here's your Imperial Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth. Here's the headlines. It's Reuters. Okay, it says Hegseth says reports about poor conditions aboard carriers are misrepresented. This is August 13th, 2026. It was updated August 14th. Hegseth says reports about poor conditions aboard carrier are misrepresented. Think about that. Here's all these families are talking firsthand. This is not letters that are written and it gets to the family a month or two later, like when in Vietnam. My dad was military. Nowadays, it's like real time. It's like you're on the phone, right? And they probably got it bought off, but there is real time action. So here's what I'm saying here. Panama City, August 13, Reuters. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said on Thursday that reports about poor conditions aboard aircraft carrier the USS Abraham Lincoln in the Middle East were completely misrepresented. Two military-focused outlets, the Navy Times and Stars and Stripes, reported suicide attempts and declining morale on the 5,000-person ship, which has been at sea since November 2025. Okay. That's his response. He didn't say he's going to look into it. That's the response. He's saying he's calling the family a liar. That's what he's doing. And he's denying it. And that is what happens when you're in the military, in your family, and you're asking for help. They're going to deny it. Call you a liar, miscalculate, and don't talk about it. And then the person who said it is now, they're going to be retaliated against. That's the military way. That's the military way. Right? But the rest of the world are reporting this. This reminds me of what Putin going on with Ukraine and Russia. He's losing over that. It's got over 1 million people casualties and twice as many dead. They're losing 50,000 a month. I'm probably losing 35 to 50,000 a month. Dead bodies. Bodies that are rotting. And Putin said, there's nothing going on. We're just fine. There's no problem. We got this covered. See the similarities? It's what our politicians did. They lied to you. They lied to you. You can't trust those rascals. Okay, here he said, we make sure every ship, every crew, every captain has everything we can provide them at every single moment. Some deployments are longer than others. I have more respect and gratitude for those soldiers than anybody. Yeah, but he won't get in a plane, get over there and listen and go to himself. They're too scared. He won't get on a plane, go check it out for himself to see what's happening. And if you look at his responses, it's very canned, very legalese, political response. He's saying, a Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, said Thursday that reports about poor conditions. He doesn't mention anything about the mental health of the soldiers. Does he mention anything about their well-being? No. There's nothing wrong with the place. Right? And where is he getting this information from? I don't know where he's getting it from. Probably he's getting it from somebody who's his yes man. That's what he's getting in. And if they do send a delegate to the ship, what's going to happen is that they're going to usher them around to the places they want to see. They're going to be at distance from the soldiers, and they're going to get on a plane and they're going to leave. Usher them around to the places they want them to see, that's been prepared, been cleaned up, been addressed, been inspection ready. Then they're going to get into the room, or maybe a theater, and talk etiquette. This is good. We hear you. We're going to make it better. Nah. Then they're going to get on a plane and they're going to leave. That's how it goes. If they do have a one-on-one with a soldier or a small group, the group is silenced. It's some very basic questions, And if it gets any sticky, they shut them down. That's what you're dealing with in the military. I'm going off, but it's just like, it brings so much memories for me. That's what's happening. They don't address the issue. They never address when they talk about sexual assault on the military. They don't address it. They say, we're going to look into it. This is not going to be good. We're going to take care of it. We'll improve our policies. That's it. It's just political bull pucky. That's all it is. So here, you got your Secretary of Defense, who's fired over 26 high-ranking officers, generals and admirals and commanders. Now he's saying, without going on the ship himself, that there's nothing wrong with it. And he's saying he acknowledges that it is reported. He doesn't acknowledge the family. They don't reach out to the family. That's where we're at with it. He's saying, we know, I don't know. You can read the story for yourself, right? But nothing's going to happen. Yeah. Of course, the Democratic lawmakers are unhappy about the extended deployment of the Lincoln carrier and the conditions of the ship. But our Congress isn't doing anything to bring it back, to end it. Okay, their hands are tied. This is like putting a Band-Aid on a situation. And it's sad. It's sad. But this is what you get into when you take the government coins. Right? This is what you get into. I lived it. Let's see here. Let's take a look. I'm going to see if I can find one from our Supreme Leader. Here we go. I found it. I'm going to close out with this one from The Guardian. Donald Trump. This was The Guardian, Monday, that's today, August 17th. 1622, that's 4:22 Eastern Daylight Time. Here's the headlines. Trump dismisses USS Lincoln criticism and snaps at CNN reporters to be quiet. There you have it. Trump dismisses USS Lincoln criticism and snaps at CNN reporters to be quiet. Snaps at CNN reporters to be quiet is also snaps at the soldiers and sailors to be quiet. You can't speak out. That's the cardinal sin of the military. You join it, you serve. Whatever happens, you take it. Take it like a man. You take it like a woman. You take it like anything you want to be, but you take it. Your choices are no longer your choices. Your life is no longer your life. You don't realize that, right? These people are stuck. There's nothing they can do. And it's not just happening on the ship. And we have military personnel on the ground there in that country who's not protected, who can be killed at will without support from our government. And all they're going to do is recategorize the death like they did before so that it doesn't look bad on them. Think about that. SEG says recategorize the person's death, how he died, how she died, so it doesn't reflect badly on them and the Department of Defense. Think about that. My goodness, this is crazy. Makes me sad. I haven't touched my coffee yet. Hold on a second. I'm going to drink some coffee. Donald Trump, here's a little story here, claimed he has had third-hand reports about the aircraft carrier, USS Abraham Lincoln. Hold on. Donald Trump claimed he had third-hand reports that the aircraft carrier, USS Abraham Lincoln, is beautifully maintained, despite extensive accounts of deteriorating living conditions during its lengthy deployment in the Strait of Hormuz. Okay, think about that. It's beautifully maintained. Maine is clean. It's the machine working fine. It's nice. And like I said before, the third party person was somebody that lit on the ship, one of his boys, and they ushered him around to the area that they wanted to see. It's a big ship. They ushered him around to the areas that was polished and shined by the sailors to be presentable, inspection ready. And they close off anything else. They don't talk to the soldiers and sailors. And what he's saying is that these families are hearing from their sailors, from their family members, and saying, "This is bad. Help me, help me." They're reaching out, right? And the families do that. They tread down to the center, they pound, they ask for help, and the senators, in their own little way, they scurry on over to the White House and tell Daddy Trump. And Daddy Trump, he says it very sincere, "Shut up. I have boys that went in there and said," I know they're boys because Hegseth is firing on the women, right? And the ones he don't like, probably ain't people of color. I'm sorry for pulling that card out, but he's firing these guys. If you're a man of color, if you're a woman, if you identify, you're gone. God, man. So anyways, he goes on to say, at the White House on Monday, the president berated Christian Holmes, a CNN reporter, at the press availability, insisting that she be quiet and describing the report as fake news. Wow, baby. Fake news. Yeah, let's just see. All these families, 200 family members, were meeting their senators in San Diego, all saying the same thing, crying for help. It hasn't been the whole time. It hasn't been said. It's now it's happening. Okay. The news has gotten out. The kitty is in the bag. And you ain't getting back in. You know, you had that little Jack in the Box thing? Ding, 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 ding. Yeah. I don't know. Trump said, describing exchange with a veteran whom he did not name over the weekend, he happened to be an admiral, retired, he said. I've been on ships that are out there much longer. A freaking admiral. An admiral. Okay, he can come and go when he pleases. You've been an admiral. He don't have berthing quarters. They have suites. They probably don't feed from the rest of the kitchen. They have their own chefs. Give me a break, an admiral. And I know people on the Lincoln, they say it's beautifully maintained and beautifully taken care of. Oh, but this is a man of tune. This is leadership out of touch. Other people went out and they found out that wow, it was fake news reporting from the CNN. Maybe he doesn't know about the family. Maybe he doesn't know about the soldiers that were that's suicide. Maybe he haven't heard of it. Maybe his puppet, Pete, is shielding him from that. But what we're getting at is he's out of touch. President Trump is out of touch here because he's saying it's beautifully maintained, it's nice, it's clean, right? It's sad. This is sad. It's sad. This is the same thing with Vietnam. They have all these people being killed for nothing, right? Iraq. But they didn't die. They got injured that alters their life. It's sad. But when you join the military, when you're into the military, these are the things that they don't talk about. It happens. First of all, when you go to war nowadays, it's not about democracy and defending our country. It's about the interest. We're defending the financial interests of our politicians. And that's how it always has been. Kings that sit there may have to fight. Ooh, did I say kings again? Yeah. To fight battles and bring back the spoils. Think about that. That's how it's always been. They're peasants. We're peasants when you're in the military. There's nothing you can do. But it is a way, it is a lifestyle, it's a way to feed your family. But I would say it's more like junk food, because there's a lot of ways to feed your family. You don't need a job. You can go a business for yourself. Military isn't the only answer. And when you factor in the pay, right now, when you're on the ship or when you're deployed, it's basically it's a 12-hour thing, 12 to 18-hour days. Now you take their pay and you divide it by 18 hours. They're going to be getting less than $2 an hour. Think about it. Yeah, the money looks good if you're working a 40-hour work week. But you're a soldier, you're a sailor, you're a Marine, you're Air Force, you're Coast, I don't know about Coast Guard. Kind of stay around. But they might go. But anyways, okay, you think that pay, let's say you get $4,000 a month, right? And you divide that by 7 days a week, right? Remember, there's 7 days a week. You divide that by 12 hours a day. How much is that? I don't know. That's not a whole lot of money when you think about it. And then the medical, I would say is, I don't know, social medicine at its worst. I can go to VA, but both my parents died on the tables at Madigan. I tell people, don't take me to Madigan. Do not take me. I don't know. I will not. I don't care if. No, walk to the hospital. I don't care if I have a heart attack. I would not go there. Because the medical, everything you get, because honestly, you can't provide top-notch care to the numbers of people that is in the military. It's just not fiscally feasible. It would be fiscally feasible if that was our government's intention, was to do the best for our soldiers, our military personnel. But like I said before, we're basically expendable. They're peasants. They're less value. And this right here shows it to you. The fact that they're in that situation is one thing. Sometimes it may not be preventable. It may not be, unfortunately, unpreventable, but it's how you deal with the situation as it unfolds. Do you do you deny it? Do you slide into the carpets? That's just disrespectful. Or you address it and work towards a solution, right? So that's how you know whether or not. And they're just denying it. Pete, Trump, they're just dying. The conditions aren't any better. And if they replace that ship with another ship, those people who are going in there are going to have the same issue. So, honestly, I don't know if they had a stop loss yet, but I don't know. I know if I was in the Navy, if I had this by choice, I'm out of there. My time's up. And it happened. It happened. I went through the Iraqi thing. It began when it first started out. And as soon as they looked at stop loss, I was gone. I was going to go anyway. It wasn't no big deal. It wasn't that I was ready. I was done with the military. That was just the explanation point. So, how can I have so much authority on this and see what I see and say what I say? Because now here's the case study. I was going to talk about the case study with the Washington National Guard. When the problem happened and the malicious prosecution was starting, my friend went to his senators. He wrote to people. He wrote, and what happened, eventually got a letter back from Legowitz, which was the adjutant general at the time, saying, we're taking care of it. And in the letter said, taking care of it, basically, autonomy. He said, we have autonomy, which means that we can do what we want to do, right? And there's a process. It was a formal letter. And we got it back. And every time we did a congressional inquiry, we get a formal letter back like that. We're looking into it. I think the White House came back and said, that's it. So it wasn't, in a lot of cases, it wasn't that senators didn't want to do anything, Patty Murray, but they give you a false sense of belief that you can help, that they can help. Like I mentioned before in my other podcast, they can't. I say, all they're going to do is package up what you gave them, what you told them, and give it right back to the people that you're complaining about, and they're going to deal with it. And there's no accountability, means that once that happens, they always say, there's not going to be no way to find out what took place. The outcome will not be revealed. And there you have it. And there you have it. And then it happened. It's textbook. What I'm seeing here is textbook. It's textbook. It's what the military does, but they don't tell you. That's why you got to look at the Ferris Doctrine. You got to look at all these little small things that happen, and that's going to give you the big picture. Unfortunately, many people, when they're thinking about the military, the last thing they think about is looking at what happened after boot camp, because they all assume that it's just going to be like a regular job. But it isn't. I just thank you for basically listening to me, making it this far. So hope you see the connections. Hope you do some digging and some sharing. Help you understand. Share with other people. And I don't know what else to say. I'm tired, and that's it. I speak from the heart, speak about what matters, and I speak from experience. And I probably don't get a whole lot of people to listen to it, but hopefully if you're one of them, hopefully it'll do some good for you. That you can take something out of it. You can share with other people. Take care. Until next time, keep the coffee coming. I can always use a cup of coffee. And my next, I wasn't even planning to have this one, but when I start seeing there are more responses coming back and seeing what our fearless leaders are saying, I just couldn't stop myself because it's exactly what happens in the military. It's exactly what happens. And the next one is going to be one more time about the working conditions in the military and how it's different than the civilian life when it comes to office politics. Thank you. Have a good day. This is Military Illumination, a podcast where we talk about things that matter to help you understand the situation, to give you the tools to make an informed decision about the military, whether to stay in, whether to get out, or whether to support someone who's on the edges. Bye.